Hello, just Gem here and welcome, or indeed welcome back to my channel. The focus today is going to be the Kaima Cosmetics Frosted Fairy palette. While I jabber on a bit, I'm going to show you some swatches. I'm going to show you them on the side of the screen because normally when I do swatches I film them on my camera, but I also film them on my phone. And somehow along the way I've managed to delete the footage from my memory card. I don't know how I've managed that. I'm rather annoyed at myself, but I still have the phone footage, so that's what you can see. "16 shades, 8 mattes and 8 shimmers slash specials. Favourite shades right off the bat are probably Aurora, which is this shade right here. I don't know if this does it justice, but it's really pretty. It's really pretty. Another standout for me is Ivy. What a surprise. Green shade. And then another standout has got to be Fern, this blue. Love it. So I'm generally drawn to the smoother special shades in here. The other special shades are that chunkier, slightly flaky formula. So shades like Angel here, Tinkerbell, this sort of goldy yellow shimmer here. Pixie is chunky, but that actually swatched quite well. That's quite a nice shade. And same with Jasmine. That's a bit of a chunky shade, but that swatched quite nicely too. All in all, I'm pretty excited to do some looks with this. I was drawn to it because it says Prismatic Pastels, but there's some depth in there. Like I'm not concerned. Well, I wasn't concerned about how these shades would look on my skin tone, and I was correct in that lack of concern because, yeah, they look fine. I think possibly the only shade in here that I might switch out, can you guess what it is? It's Olia. I think that's how you pronounce it, that shade there. And generally, I think it's too muted for this palette. I think it needs another pop. But then you could also argue the other way that Aria doesn't belong here, but you might gather that I am quite pleased that it's here. So swings and roundabouts. Those are the swatches. My intention is to compare this to the Danessa Myricks Mini Pastel Dream palette. I think that mouthful is the entire title of that palette, for reasons which I think will become quite apparent when I do begin that comparison. It was interesting. Because I've done, obviously because I've had them side by side for quite some time before this point, I've been able to eyeball them and come to some conclusions, but let's not spoil the fun. For this palette, I think I will try to do what I normally do, which is one eye that's a bit more neutral and another eye that's a bit more colourful. And that could work out well because you've got, I'll just hold it up for now, but you've got like this dark brown shade here, and then you've called Aria, then you've got Olia here, which I don't know how often I would use that. So I'm going to make a point of using that today just to kind of see how it looks on my lid. And then you've got, I think it's Kalia, which could be considered neutral. It's got an orangey hue, but could potentially be considered neutral. Got no makeup on at the moment. All I've got is eyeshadow primer. I have done a quick ISO clean of my brushes. So this jumbo random limited edition one that I bought because it was on offer on Beauty Bay. But mainly because I'm curious, I am going to start with Olia, but I suspect strongly that I might end up going over that with Kalia and then deepening things up with Aria. But I do just want to see what Olia looks like. And do I use my Zoeva 227? Yeah, I'll use my Zoeva 227 for this. Bit of kick up in the pan, nothing major. Okay, that's got more pigment than I thought it would. Maybe that's not, no, it's not as ashy. Let me zoom you in so you can see what I mean here. So obviously, I mean, it's a grey shade, so it's there's no getting around from the fact that it is grey, but it's not ashy, it's the grey that it's supposed to be. And because I filmed these swatches a while ago, I obviously do not still have them on my arm like I often do when I film, so it's almost like I'm going in blind again, and I can't remember how they swatch. Well, I've got my phone footage, so I'll refer to that a little bit, but I mean that's very light. It is very light. Yeah, I don't know that I'd use that in my crease because it's so light. I think I am now going to go into Kalia, I think that's how you pronounce that, and just kind of go over most of that, I think. Yeah, see, this would be more what I'd be inclined to use in my crease. Maybe Olia could be an inner corner. I mean, it seems like a shame to, well, not a shame, but when you've got this many shimmers in a palette, it makes you wonder, should you really be going towards a matte as your inner corner? Okay, so I have covered up basically all of that, but I suspected I would. I mainly just wanted to see what Olia would look like and if I could get away with using it as a crease shade. And I think we settled on no. If I use a 14, so a ref of 14 now, and I'll go back into that, just because I want to see if I can build that up a bit more. Yes, I think you can see that. I mean, I don't know how neutral I'd say this really is. Wiping the pigment off though, because I'm going into a deeper shade, it's not the end of the world if I don't get it all off. And now I am going into Aria, and we're going to use that to deepen things up. And I'm kind of eyeballing these shades, the shimmer shades, as I'm applying these to determine which ones I'd like to use. I might have to have a mini swatch party. Immediately I'm thinking Tinkerbell. I want to do 2. Yeah, maybe Tinkerbell and Willow, with Willow on the outside. Do I want to use a NYX glitter primer? I don't know that I need it with this. Let's see. Oh gosh, yeah. You've got to be very... I've just swirled my finger in that and it's picked up all of that. Oops. Very soft. I don't remember it. I knew it was soft, but I've just put that on the back of my hand, and then I'll... Yeah, see, that's super soft. You have to be really careful picking that up if you're going to use your finger, because I've just basically scooped out a chunk by accident. So that's what Willow looks like. See, it looks green in the pan. So that's Willow. You see it looks green? I'm trying to tilt it to see if I can get it to show you. That's what it's like on my lid. So yeah, eyeballing them, I was thinking to myself, I thought there were more neutral shimmery shades in here. And it's like, yeah, it's because it's a super shifty shade that looks green in the pan. And you can see there are certain, well, I don't know, can you see? There are definitely flecks of green depending on the angle that you, I wonder if you can see it there. Then it kind of looks orange as well. I've got all of that I've accidentally picked up. I don't know if I can get away with, I'm kind of scraping it off the back of my hand. I might see if I can press that back into the pan, because that's a lot of product to waste. And then Tinkerbell on the inside. That's not as soft, it's still soft, still picked up quite a bit there. So again, I might just take off some of the excess on the back of my hand to reduce the fallout, because I think if I was to go in straight away I'd end up with it all down my face. Yeah, see, those are quite nice together. I might use a flat brush. So this is a random Lumora small shader brush. I don't know if you can hear those drums. I wonder what festival is on for them to be on the drums. Gosh, guys, these are so soft. Yeah, see, that's... Oh, gosh, how do I rectify this? I think it's probably a good thing I didn't use a NYX glitter primer, because I think it would have been too much. These are very emollient, very soft. I don't remember them being like this in Skullz and Roses, and I remember them being creamy, but not to this extent. But yeah, okay. And then I might leave this eye for the time being while I make a start on the other eye, which is going to be full on peacock, I think. I think I might lean into the blues more for this, actually. So maybe like, so Elsa, Fern, and then do I go towards the green or towards the purple? I know what I'm going to do. Right, a smallish fluffy brush. So Zoeva, what is this? 231. And I'm going to start with Eden, which is the minty green shade. And we're going to put that here. I don't know if I need something a bit fluffier than that, because there's quite a tapered edge there. Maybe something a bit fluffier, but this could work. I'm already... I don't think I wanted to take it out that far. Oops. I'm already thinking about... No, I definitely didn't want to take it out that far. That's fine. I can see what I can do to fix this. I'm already thinking about June, because I know that even more so than May, I'm gonna struggle with filming. So I'm trying to formulate a plan for June, and I'm even struggling to formulate a plan what I'm going to do. I do like that blue. I think I like the blue more than I like the green, which is what, so I'm even more annoyed I accidentally got carried away. And the reason why I wanted to make sure the blue was on the outside is because I now want to go into this deep purple, and I just feel that that will blend more easily into that blue than it would the green. So this is to add a bit of depth. So Jasmine and Pixie aren't too bad. It's mainly Willow, Tinkerbell, Angel that I'm not overly enamoured by. So that's that purple there is Jasmine, and then that's Pixie. Jasmine, Fern, Aurora, I think. I'm quite excited about this now. Jasmine, and I'm going to be quite delicate because, as I say, it is that flaky formula, but I'm learning my lesson now. I haven't picked up as much. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, see, even applying it, it doesn't feel as chunky as the first two and Angel does. And now Fern, which I think Aurora is going to be the inner corner. Oh, look at Fern. Oh! It's like, so that's on my monitor that looks blue, so the same blue that's in the pan. In the mirror it's got a green shift, so I had to look down because I thought, did I accidentally put my finger in the wrong shade there? So blue, but it's like a tealy colour here. Oh, this is a beautiful shade. Nice and smooth, this one. I have to tidy this up. I'll tidy it up in a minute. And then my Zoeva 237 detailer, and that's going to go into Aurora, which is just this. It's white kind of head on with these rainbow, I don't know if I can see. I think that's probably just going to show as white on the camera. I don't know if you can see it when I do it at that angle, the rainbow shift in there in Aurora. Oh, that's stunning. Possibly should have just kept that on the very, very inner, but see, that's actually, it's quite golden. It's got a gold hue to it. I think you get the idea. I'm going to tidy this up and get more of like a gradient blend across here, and then I'll put some concealer on to come and do most of the rest of my face. But yeah, I think you get the idea on this side. I'm back and I've done most of my face. I've basically just got to come back and do my under eyes and mascara and some liner. I have some liner now, yay. Going back to this eye, it's probably just going to be Aria smoked out a little bit with Kalia. So Zoeva 230 into Aria, which I shall run underneath and connect at the corner. I was about to say, I don't know how well you can see that, but you can. I don't actually, now I'm thinking about it, I don't know if I want to smoke it out, or maybe so this is a Made by Mitchell ME11, and I'm just going to go into Kalia, because maybe what I'll do is almost tight line a little bit with Aria. And I do want to put something on the inner corner here. I don't know if I just use Aurora again, because Aurora is stunning. 230 again, back into Aria. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think I am going to do it. I'm going to put Aria on the inner corner here. Not Aria, Aurora. I think it works well on this eye as an inner corner. On this eye, wiping off the pigment from that Zoeva 230, and I'm going to go into that purple shade, and that's Pandora, and run that along the underneath. Taking care not to poke myself in the eye. I'm not doing my eyeliner on camera because I suck at doing my eyeliner, so I'm going to do my liner and mascara off camera, zoom you right in so you can have a good look, and then zoom you out so you can see the full face. I've zoomed you right in so you can see both eyes up close even. I am so happy to have my Clinique eyeliner back. It makes the world of difference, honestly. I don't think if they ever discontinue it, I might cry, because it seems to be the only liner I can do a remotely decent wing with. And I've even managed to get them quite even today, which I don't normally care about because I've done 2 different eye looks, but they're quite even. Anyway, I'm rambling. So this is the more neutral side using Frosted Fairy, and this is the peacock side. Do you have a favourite? Obviously the peacock side is my favourite, and I strongly suspect that it will be most people's favourite. But I just always like to do this. I want to show off what a palette can do as much as possible for a first go round, and I think that's pretty good. I mean, looking at it, I don't think when you eyeball it you would think you could get something as neutral looking as that. So yeah, not bad at all. Zoomed out, and this is my finished face. What have I done to finish it? So as I said, Clinique Easy Liner, which I love. I don't think I'll ever buy a different eyeliner. I'm using up, this is still going. I thought it was on its last legs, but it's still got some juice in there. So that's the Pat McGrath Dark Star Mascara. On my lips, I've got a nude combo that I'm using a lot. 89 Fine, MAC Persistence, Adept Cosmetics Nude Beige. And I just think when you've got mismatched eyes like this, it's just much easier to go with a nudie neutral lip like this rather than try and think of a colour that's going to match both eyes. On my cheeks, I've got the NYX Buttermelt Blush in, what is this one? Butter with Thyme. I've managed to go in quite delicately with this. I also managed to, I've gouged it when I opened it before. Can you see the gouge there? These are not easy to open sometimes. You've got to have very dexterous fingers to get into these compacts. So I've managed to gouge a big chunk with my nail there. And Pat McGrath Divine Rose Highlighter, which I've been reaching for a lot. Have I used anything else? A bit of bronzer. Revolution Glow Splendor Ultra Matte Bronzer in dark. Frosted Fairy, Kaima Cosmetics. What am I thinking? I do like, so it's worth, in fact I'm going to go and grab one of the previous palettes so I can show you the differences. Hold that thought. So that's Frosted Fairy there, and that's Skullz and Roses. So I think they're the same width. Oh no, they're not the same width. So that's a bit more square, and this is a bit more rectangular. Originally thought they were the same width, but they're not quite. You can see when I've lined them up that Skullz and Roses peeks out a little bit, and then it's narrower and taller, this one. Since I purchased Skullz and Roses and Boujee Boudoir, they have now updated the packaging and it's now magnetic. And I've mentioned it before, when I said I was going to get Frosted Fairy, I talked about the updated packaging for Boujee Boudoir, especially because they've not only updated it to being magnetic, they've also updated it to being, well, they've updated the front cover, and I much prefer the new front cover, but clearly I'm not going to purchase it again just to have the new artwork, as much as I love the new artwork. That's the difference. You can see the little sort of grooves, like the finger holes, so you can get to the pans to get them out now that they're magnetic. So that's why the packaging is bigger all round, because they've added in those finger holes. I wonder, I mean, they could have stuck with this format and, you know, you would just use a magnetic scoopy thingy. I don't know where mine is, it's downstairs. I might have to get a second one because the one I've got is very strong. You've got to be very careful, so I might have to get one that's not so strong. And then I don't know if you can see, maybe it's because the chunkier shades are fewer and far between, but even eyeballing it, so I can see, so Trance here is one of the chunkier shades, the flaky shades. But when I put my finger in it, it's not as soft and not as much picks up. And let me see if I can zoom you in. If you recall, when I was picking up the flaky shades before, you could even see on my finger how chunky it was. So this is the same, well, I don't know if it's exactly the same. I don't know if they've changed it for it to be so much softer and so much flakier in the newer palette. But this is what I mean when I say I don't remember the flaky shades being so chunky. Like, I'm even nervous now. Have I managed to gouge? I've gouged. Gouge City. I'm gouging everything today. See, I'm even nervous. So what was one? So Willow was especially. Yeah, see, it's almost. But then if you don't put pressure on it, it doesn't pick up as much. Let me do Tinkerbell. I'm not as nervous as Tinkerbell to swatch that one. That's Trance from Skullz Roses, flaky formula. But that's Tinkerbell. Like, I've applied the same amount. In fact, I've probably been more delicate picking this up because I'm so cautious. But look how much it's picked up and how chunky it is in comparison to how smooth Trance is. Let me pick... so I would say maybe Charm from Skullz Roses is a bit chunkier. So let me try picking up Charmed. And I see even that feels a bit drier to the touch and it's not picking up as much. So I think you can see the chunkiness, but it's still nowhere near as chunky as the formula in here. So I wonder what they've done there. I'm not a fan, I've got to say. I don't like that because I'm going to have to be mindful of that in the future when I'm using it. I'll zoom you back out now. When I don't know if you can see Willow, if it will zoom in, if it will show you that I've already got a massive well in there from where I accidentally picked up too much. Like, I've tried to go back, I literally scraped the excess off the back of my hand, dumped it back in and then pressed it back into the pan. So I don't know if it's as obvious, but there's a definite well in there, and I've only just, this is my first use. I've done swatches before, but this is the first time using the palette. I want more of the Aurora, Ivy and Fern formula, less of the Tinkerbell and Willow formula, and I don't know why Jasmine and Pixie, though they seem to be the same chunky formula, they pick up so much more easily, and I don't mind those. But Angel, Tinkerbell, Willow, Tinkerbell and Willow especially, be careful. I say that, I mean, I've not used Angel, I did swatch it. Be very, very careful of those. Very careful. I do like the fact this is magnetic. Frosted Fairy is £49. It's currently on pre-order. And there are always discount codes knocking about. I think even Kaima Cosmetics are pushing the code Gratitude20 despite the fact it ends in 20, it gives you 15% off. And then there's influencer codes that will give you 10% off. But obviously use the gratitude one. Unless you're desperate to show support to an influencer, Gratitude's going to give you, Gratitude 20 will give you 15% off, whereas an influencer code will only give you 10. I used Gratitude 20 when I purchased this. And I think £49 for a magnetic palette like this, where it's 50-50 multi-chromes versus matte shades, is pretty decent. As I say, I don't know how much I'm going to be reaching for Olia here. Everything else in here I'll use, and those chunky shades I'll just be very, very cautious. Ranking wise, where would I put this? Colour Story alone, Skullz Roses I think, then this, then Boujee Boudoir. I mean, this is like a first go round. Maybe when I've used all three of them some more, I'll think differently. Formula wise, this is going to come third, because it's just, well, I don't know, maybe I should, I'll review that, but based on this alone, as I say, I think Boujee Boudoir was ever slightly chunkier than Skullz Roses, marginally, but not as chunky as this. I do really like both looks and how they've turned out, and I do like that despite the fact that on looking at this it looks like a bit of a pastel rainbow, you can get something quite sultry and neutral with it if you want to. So I do appreciate that and the versatility in there. You couldn't get many neutral looks, but it's nice to know that there is that option, so I rate it for that. I wonder if the names are on the back of these pans. No, they're not, so that's annoying, so I've just taken it out. So you'd have to put names on them yourself if you wanted to have the names. Let me know what you think of this palette. Is this one that you're picking up? So I don't know, for example, how easily accessible brands like Cosmic and Artitude and Kaima Cosmetics are outside of the UK. I love that we've got Kaima Cosmetics, Artitude and Cosmetics here, because a lot of the indie brands that catch my eye are US based, and it's just extortionate. So fully supportive of UK indie brands, and I am impressed. It's got some pitfalls, it does have some pitfalls, but on the whole I do like this palette, and I'm looking forward to using it some more. And as I say, I always come back to palettes that I use. It will feature in a What Do I Think Now, just so I can update you on how I'm getting on with that formula, and if I'm finding it a massive ball ache every time I pull this palette out, which I wonder if I might, but we'll see. The other formulas might compensate for that. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope that you found this video useful, and I also hope to see you again in a video in a not too distant future. Take care. Bye.